In this video we going to see the top 10 most dangerous cities in the world to travel. 10th place Caracas, Venezuela. The new city was named Santiago de Lea tilde superscript 3n de Caracas, Santiago, after the patron saint of Spain, Lea tilde superscript 3n, after the governor of the day, and Caracas, after the Indian group which inhabited the coastal mountain range. The city was elected as the administrative seat of the province of Venezuela in 1577. The U.S. Department of State has assessed Caracas as being a critical threat location for crime directed at or affecting official U.S. government interests. Venezuela has one of the highest numbers of violent deaths in the region, and the world. Even popular tourist attractions, such as the Avila National Park, are increasingly associated with violent crime. The poor neighborhoods, barrios, reed slums, that cover the hills around Caracas are extremely dangerous. These are seldom patrolled by police and should be avoided. 9th place Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. As 17th century Spanish explorers sought a route through the southern Rocky Mountains, the Franciscan Friar Garcia de San Francisco founded Ciudad Juarez in 1659 as El Paso del Norte, the North Pass. A summary of the Battle of Ciudad Juarez from April 7 to May 10, 1911. Last updated, Mar 31, 2021, see article history, 2,500 untrained men at the strategically important Ciudad Juarez, which lay on Mexico's border with the United States. Crime and violence remain serious problems throughout the state of Chihuahua, particularly in the south and in the Sierra Mountains, including Copper Canyon. U.S. citizens traveling to Ciudad Juarez and the city of Chihuahua must guard against robbery, carjacking, theft, and burglary. The U.S. Department of State has assessed Ciudad Juarez as being a critical threat location for crime directed at or affecting official U.S. government interests. Crime and violence remain serious problems throughout the state of Chihuahua, particularly in the south and in the Sierra Mountains, including Copper Canyon. 8th place Cape Town, South Africa. The first Europeans to reach the Cape were the Portuguese. Bartholomew Dias arrived in 1488 after journeying south along the west coast of Africa. The next recorded European sighting of the Cape was by Vasco da Gama in 1497 while he was searching for a route that would lead directly from Europe to Asia. Cape Town is an extremely cool city that is mostly known for its natural beauty. The reputation for safety in Cape Town has been one marred by theft, muggings, assaults, carjackings, gang violence, often, if not always, fueled by poverty. Years of apartheid have contributed to current social issues. 7th place Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Rio de Janeiro became the colonial capital in 1763 and was the capital of independent Brazil from 1822 until 1960, when the national capital was moved to the new city of Brasilia. The territory constituting the former federal district was converted into Guanabara State, which formed an enclave in Rio de Janeiro State. Unfortunately, the Rio crime rate is fairly high. Violent crime is a frequent occurrence, according to the Overseas Security Advisory Council, OSAC, while street crimes such as pickpocketing and purse snatching are a constant concern, happening all over Rio at all times of the year. The neighborhoods to avoid to stay safe in Rio de Janeiro. Recinha. Centro. Santa Teresa. Otero dos Flamengo and Praia de Botafogo. Zona Norte. 6th place Guatemala City, Guatemala. Guatemala City was founded in 1776 to replace Antigua Guatemala, which had been virtually destroyed by an earthquake in 1773, as the capital of the Captaincy General of Guatemala. Guatemala City is famous for its chicken buses, and these photogenic vehicles are the primary means of transportation for most locals. Crime. Much of Guatemala City is fairly safe during the day, but once the shops close and there are fewer people on the streets, some areas can get dangerous. In the evening, don't go out alone. Robberies, muggings, and even murder happen here. Crime. Much of Guatemala City is fairly safe during the day, but once the shops close and there are fewer people on the streets, some areas can get dangerous. 5th place Acapulco, Mexico. Courts established Acapulco as a major port by the early 1530s, with the first major road between Mexico City and the port constructed by 1531. The wharf, named Marcus, was constructed by 1533 between Bruja Point and Diamond Point. Soon after, the area was made an Arcadia, major province or town. The tourist hotspot of Acapulco is now a danger zone. This was once a world-renowned tourist hotspot, but reports are that it is history, and the city is now known as one of the most dangerous cities in the world due to violent crime. Ranked number 2 on the list last year, Acapulco's crime was so bad that the federales disbanded the local police and took over. And it appears to be working. Murder rates dropped from a staggering 110 deaths per 100,000 people to a still awful 71. The crime level in Acapulco is high, but resort areas and tourist destinations are not prone to violence and serious crime. However, drug-related violence has been increasing in Acapulco, so tourists should be vigilant in their safety. You need to bear in mind that pickpockets operate everywhere. Fourth place, Baghdad, Iraq. Baghdad was the center of the Arab Caliphate during the Golden Age of Islam of the 9th and 10th centuries, growing to be the largest city worldwide by the beginning of the 10th century. It began to decline in the Iranian intermezzo of the 9th to 11th centuries and was destroyed in the Mongolian invasion in 1258. The name Baghdad is pre-Islamic and its origin is disputed. The site where the city of Baghdad developed has been populated for millennia. By the 8th century AD, several villages had developed there, including a Persian hamlet called Baghdad, the name which would come to be used for the Abbasid metropolis. Baghdad is, unfortunately, currently in an extremely dangerous security situation, under a very high threat of terrorist attack and a very high threat of kidnapping. Baghdad, Arabic, at Ba-Didi, is the capital of Iraq and has about any travels to Baghdad because of the extremely dangerous security situation. Very high. Baghdad in early 2007 was the most dangerous city on earth. Most parts, except for the heavily guarded international zone, were no-go for foreigners, where local people risked being randomly killed or hunted down at any time. As many as 130 bodies, many mutilated, were being found each morning. Third place, Kabul, Afghanistan. Tamerlane captured Kabul in 1398 and the city began to revive under the Timurid rule. Kabul became the initial capital of the Mughal dynasty in 1504 when occupied by the Emperor Babur, who invested in public buildings and gardens. Kabul became the capital of Afghanistan in 1776 during the reign of Timur Shah Durrani, the son of Ahmad Shah Durrani. In the early 19th century, the British occupied the city, but after establishing foreign relations, they were compelled to withdraw all forces from Afghanistan. Kabul is probably the least safe city of the places you'll visit in Afghanistan. Though that wasn't always the case, in recent times Kabul has seen regular violence and a slurry of large attacks, most notably the attack on the American university. Your biggest concern in Kabul is the high prevalence of kidnapping. With terrorist organizations such as the Taliban and ISIS in the area, Kabul can, unfortunately, see violence erupt at any moment, making it one of the most dangerous places on earth. Many countries even have the city and nation as a whole on travel warning lists due to the high threat of terrorism. Second place, Karachi, Pakistan. The largest city in Pakistan, Karachi has seen its fair share of crime, from terrorist attacks to sectarian violence to drug violence. Foreign Policy, a U.S. magazine, deemed Karachi as the most dangerous megacity in a 2013 study. Some areas of Pakistan are extremely dangerous, whereas others are safe for tourists. It's important to do some proper research beforehand, and, if you go to a sensitive area like Peshawar or the Swat Valley, just travel with caution. The present city of Karachi was reputedly founded as Kalachi by Baloch tribes from Makran, Balochistan, who established a small fishing community in the area. Descendants of the original community still live in the area on the small island of Abdullah Goth, which is located near the Karachi port. First place, San Pedro Sula, Honduras. San Pedro Sula, city, northwestern Honduras. It is situated in the Ulua River Valley, 37 miles, 60 kilometers, inland by highway and railroad from Puerto Cortez, on the Gulf of Honduras. The Palacio Municipal, foreground, San Pedro Sula, Honduras. The city, founded in 1536, has been almost completely rebuilt. Although Honduras is among the most violent countries in the world, crime and murders are not spread around the country. In 2015, Tegucigalpa, San Pedro Sula and La Ceiba suffered more than 40% of the homicides in the country. Violence rises from fights between the gangs to see who gains control over these regions.